This is the Content Marketing Podcast, episode number 224, Content Marketing for B2B Enterprises, Results from the Latest Research. Hello and welcome to the Content Marketing Podcast. This is the show where we help you grow your tribe and your bottom line through insanely good content. I'm your host, Rachel Parker of Resonance Content Marketing, and today is April 27th, 2017. Hello, or as we say in Texas, howdy, and thank you for joining us for today's episode of the Content Marketing Podcast. First of all, I have a special invitation to my Houston folks. On May 25th, I will have the honor of presenting at MarTech Houston. This is a fantastic one-day conference focused on the latest marketing strategies for small and medium-sized businesses, and I would love to see you there. For more information, visit bit.ly/MarTech Houston. That's MarTechHouston, all caps. bit.ly/MarTech Houston, all caps. Early bird pricing has been extended until May 8th, so grab your spot ASAP. Just a reminder, this podcast is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play Music. So if you like what you hear, please feel free to click on over and subscribe. I also invite you to download our complimentary audio and ebook, B2B Content Marketing, from the blog to the bottom line. Download today to learn how to drive engagement at each stage of the B2B sales process. To snag your free copy, go to contentmarketinggift.com. Last week, we talked about crisis management, looking at a cautionary tale around a little company called United Airlines, and we talked about the role of content marketing in building and maintaining our online reputations. If you happen to miss that episode, feel free to check it out on iTunes or via the RSS feed. Today, we're sharing some insights from the latest research on content marketing in B2B enterprise organizations. But first, it's time to check in with our news feed for this week's rundown of news you can use. Oh man, this week it is on. We have been reporting about the ongoing arms race between Snapchat and Instagram/Facebook. And just this past week, it all got to a whole new level. So Snapchat announced the latest volley in its ongoing battle with Instagram, and that was something called World Lenses. If you're familiar with Snapchat lenses, where you tap on your face before you take a snap, and you can put like doggy ears on you or flowers or otherwise enhance that photo or that video. This is the same concept, but it's for your environment instead of for your face. So using the rear-facing camera on your phone, you can add three-dimensional elements. Currently, they have words and rainbows and clouds and seeds that sprout into flowers as you toss them out. Pretty cool stuff. It's also known as augmented reality. So if you see blog posts out there talking about augmented reality, or AR, for those of us too lazy to write all those pesky letters, that's what they're talking about. Now, to use it, just open the Snapchat app and switch to the rear-facing camera, then tap once to pull up the available lenses. So it will actually scan the environment and figure out the best placement for those lenses, which you can then move around. And then if you do a video, you can actually move around these elements. It's really quite cool. Starbucks was among the first brands to capitalize on World Lenses with a promo for its unicorn frappuccino. So very, very cool stuff. Now, will it catch on with marketers? We shall see. Meanwhile, over in Menlo Park, Facebook announced its own augmented reality features. Facebook was leading its Facebook F8 Developer Conference last week, and Mark Zuckerberg had an announcement of his own, and that is that they are adding some augmented reality features to the Facebook camera. The camera effects platform is launching as an open beta, and it looks like the new AR capabilities are currently available only to designers and developers. So those are available through Facebook's AR Studio and Frame Studio. So the average Joe and average Dan user won't be seeing Facebook exactly copying World Lenses just yet, but stay tuned because more developers are going to have access to these capabilities, and we have all have yet to see what they come up with. So stay tuned for the ongoing saga of Snapchat versus Instagram/Facebook. Okay, our content hit of the week is a post called How Small Marketing Teams Can Achieve Big Content Wins. This is by Jacob Warwick over on the Marketing Profs blog. Now, a lot of you have shared with me that you function with very small teams, and I've actually seen data that shows the majority of content teams are pretty small, including those in larger organizations. So folks need some help getting these teams optimized and streamlined to where they can produce all this content without, going crazy or other disadvantageous side effects. So in this post, Jacob offers some simple, practical advice for surviving and thriving as a small content marketing team. And one point that he makes that resonated with me was to use outside resources. And actually, that got me to thinking, most of the clients I work with actually have full-time content creators on staff. They have folks who do this full-time in an office every day. But what happens is they just have more work than they can handle, but not quite enough work to justify hiring more people. And that is an ideal opportunity to bring in some outside help, to bring in a content marketing agency to help you fill in those gaps. So if you find yourself in that situation, see if you can get the budget to bring in some outside help. And of course, that is what Resonance does. And if I can help you in any way, please do let me know. Anyway, this blog post is a very good read, and I will, of course, provide the link in this blog post for this episode. That's it for this week's update. If you stumble across something you think might be of interest to your fellow content marketers, please tweet it to me at @RachParker so that we can share. Now it's time for this week's Spotlight segment, Content Marketing for B2B Enterprises, Results from the Latest Research. Content Marketing Institute. It really is the gift that keeps on giving. Every fall, CMI comes out with the highly anticipated results from their content marketing survey. Every fall, they release these reports, one for B2B and one for B2C, and I think they actually do some industry specific reports as well. But it's all a big survey, and then they share the results. Well, today they are sharing results from that survey specifically for B2B enterprise organizations, which they define as those B2B organizations with 1,000 or more employees. So I really want to share with you some of these insights for two reasons. Number one, if you are in a B2B enterprise organization, you might hear something you can apply for your own team and your own work. And number two, if you are one of the smaller B2B organizations out there, you may see some opportunities to get a leg up on some of your competitors, because some of these results are pretty surprising. So if you are in the B2B field, no matter whether you're an enterprise or a smaller organization, you will definitely find something of interest in these results that I'm about to share. First, let me clarify what we're sharing here. These are the results from B2B Enterprise Content Marketing 2017, Benchmarks, Budgets, and Trends, North America. That is the entire title of the report. It's presented by Content Marketing Institute and Marketing Profs and was sponsored by Knowledge Vision. And, as I present these results, of course, I didn't share everything in the report, but I homed in on several of them that represent a divergence between B2B enterprise organizations and the larger B2B community, which was reported on back in the fall when CMI released its B2B content marketing report. So I'm going to be referring back and forth to these two reports. By the way, if you want to download a copy of either or both of these reports, I will be including the URLs in the blog post for this episode, so feel free to check that out. Okay, the first insight is, no surprises here, 88% of B2B enterprises are using content marketing, and that is right there in line with the rest of the B2B community. For the larger B2B report, the number was 89%. And of the non-users, so of the 12% who are not using content marketing, 55% reported that they plan to begin a content marketing program within the next 12 months. So of those who are not currently doing content marketing, the majority have got it on their radar and they are planning to add it within the next 12 months. So in terms of the percentage actually in the content marketing game, B2B enterprises are right up there with the rest of the B2B community. And of those who are not, most of them are planning to do so. The second insight I want to share is that only of these B2B enterprise organizations, only 2% would describe their content marketing maturity level as sophisticated, and only 26% would describe their level as mature. And, and I think the other options were like adolescent, young, or just getting started, something like that. But so most of these organizations have at most developed a business case. They're not there with strategy and they are not there with measurement. And that kind of surprised me because these folks in these B2B enterprise organizations, they are some pretty sophisticated marketers. They go to the big conferences. They are there when Gary Vaynerchuk takes the stage at the Salesforce conference. They're very savvy on the importance of content marketing and the importance of doing it well and being strategic and very very thoughtful about their process. But it looks like they're just kind of stuck in that mid-range adolescent level. So I would say if you are a David going up against a Goliath in the B2B world, this could be a chance to get a leg up on your competition. If you were kind of stuck in that mid-range and looking to move forward, then knowing that those larger competitors are in the same space lets you say, hey, well, let's up our game. Let's complete that strategy. Let's start measuring. Let's start doing the things we know we need to do to create a sophisticated content marketing program so that we can compete with these big boys. Okay, let's see. Another insight is that this was surprising. Only 53% of the B2B enterprise organizations surveyed would describe their organizations as either extremely committed or very committed to content marketing. The other choices, by the way, were somewhat committed, not very committed, or not at all committed. That's barely more than half of these B2B enterprises. Now, in the overall B2B study, the result was 63%. So enterprises are actually behind the curve in the B2B community in terms of their level of commitment to content marketing. And this was really poignant to me because I hear so many marketers in mid-sized companies saying, oh, if only we had so-and-so's budget, so-and-so being their big Goliath competitor. If only we had their budget, if only we had their staff, man, we would absolutely be killing it with content marketing. Well, these folks have the budgets and they have the staffs. And yes, I know it's more complex than that. It's not like they have a money tree where they go pull off dollar bills or euros or whatever it is. But, they have the resources, but they are not... They don't have that level of commitment. They are not, barely half of them are either extremely or very committed to content marketing. And personally, I think it's due to what I call organizational sclerosis. I have worked for big companies, and it's a situation where, yes, the budgets are there, the staff is there, the resources are there, but everything has to be approved by 5 different committees, and there's always one person saying, well, you've got to prove to me that this is going to work before we are going to go all in. And, my snarky response is, what proof do you have that that banner ad's going to work, or that $25,000 print ad's going to work? But that's just my perspective. But there are a lot of hurdles to getting a vibrant and committed content marketing program going in these organizations. And I think a lot of these forward-thinking marketers who see where the future is going, I think they're finding a lot of roadblocks in terms of getting the organization on track with a solid content marketing strategy. So I thought that was very interesting. Okay, the next insight I want to share is that only 53% of these B2B enterprise organizations always or frequently focus on creating content for their audience versus their brand. Think about that. It's the audience versus brand as the focus of their content. So when these big boys are out there and producing content, it's only focused on their audience 53% of the time. Now, yes, that's a majority, but good golly, what are they doing the rest of the time? Well, the rest of the time, it's obvious they are doing the equivalent of picking up the old bullhorn and telling everybody how amazing their brand is. And, wow. If you think about an 8-hour day, they spend just a little over 4 hours focused on the audience, and the rest of the time they're talking about themselves. I thought we were past that, guys. I really, really do. So they're out there creating content about themselves and their brands and their new products and their new initiatives, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's not content marketing. That's called a brochure that you put lipstick on and called a blog post. Sorry to say. Now, for the larger B2B population that CMI reported on back in the fall, 69% focus on creating content for their audience versus their brand. So again, here, this is where B2B enterprises have some catching up to do. They've got to get in the content marketing mindset and focus on their audience. And I'll be willing to bet that these enterprises that are out there using their quote-unquote content as a bullhorn are wondering why it's not working. And I wonder how many of these folks are just going to throw up their hands and say, oh, content marketing doesn't work. And they never even tried to do it right. Amazing. Let's see, what do I have next? 64% of the respondents always or frequently prioritize delivering content quality over quantity. That is compared to 76% in the greater B2B population. So once again, these folks have the budget. They can afford good writers. They can afford good designers. They can afford good videographers. But they're only focused on creating quality content. Only 64% of them are there. So what are the rest doing? They are cranking stuff out just to crank it out, I guess. If you focus on quantity over quality, it's like, let's just get something out there. And again, I think that comes back to short-sightedness in leadership. People know just enough about content marketing to say, okay, we need to be blogging on a weekly basis. Now, the quality of that, just get something out there, get some keywords in it, make it look nice, put some nice images on there, and just get it out there. Again, quite surprised at how far behind these B2B enterprise organizations are compared to the rest of the B2B population. Okay, I've got 2 more insights to share with you. Number 1, speaking of budgets, B2B enterprises actually spend a smaller percentage of their budgets on content marketing compared to the rest of the overall B2B population. B2B enterprises spend an average of 22% of their marketing budgets on content marketing, whereas the larger B2B population spends an average of 29%. So again, enterprises are falling behind. They're not putting the dollars or euros or pesos or whatever the currency is. They're not putting those funds into producing quality content on a consistent basis. And again, that really surprised me. But again, I think it comes down to the roadblocks that these marketers are coming up against. I think it's a real struggle, and it's a real problem for organizations that are just kind of stuck in traditional marketing mode and who don't see the advantages of a strong content marketing program. Now, in my experience, that tends to shift when they see one of their competitors really killing it with content marketing and competing on a higher level. So maybe things will slowly start to come up in this B2B enterprise sphere. The final insight that I want to share with you is that only 32% of B2B enterprises surveyed plan to increase their content marketing spending over the next 12 months. This is compared to 39% of the overall B2B population. So they're spending a smaller percentage of their marketing budgets, and less than a third are planning to increase it. So it's looking like more of the same, folks. That's what it looks like to me. So what can we take away from all this? Well, number one, if you are in one of those B2B enterprise organizations, it should become pretty clear that your sector is behind the curve when it comes to content marketing for B2B businesses. So, if you've been encountering roadblocks that prevent you from stepping up your game, from producing more quality content, from doing more of the things that we just talked about, this might be a good time to revisit those roadblocks and see if there is anything that you can do about them. What can you do to help advance your agenda among those higher ups who might be stuck in old school marketing mode and who might not see the advantages? What can you do to bring them around to your side? And I know it is challenging because I have been where you are. I have worked for those large organizations and tried to push something through that people don't want to hear, and it's challenging. But if your organization is going to continue to compete, then you're going to need to find a way to make it work. So that's what I say to my folks who are in B2B enterprises. Now, if you are in a smaller B2B company, if you are a David going up against one of these Goliaths, it should be pretty clear to you that there are some chinks in that armor. There are some opportunities out there. Your biggest competitor may not be the content marketing powerhouse you may have assumed he was. They might not be as advanced as you are in your content marketing. So this might be a good time to stay with the David metaphor, might be time to look for a few round, smooth stones to put in your slingshot and look at their weaknesses. Those big competitors, look at their weaknesses, look at where they're falling short and say, okay, how can we fill in those gaps? How can we slip in and be that hero that people are looking for and that they're not getting in your biggest competitors? So again, if you want to download a copy of either of these reports, the specific B2B enterprise report or the more general B2B content marketing report, I will add those. I will add those links to the blog post for this episode. So to get to the blog post for this episode, go to resonancecontent.com/podcast. And you will find this episode and you will find the links there. So if you have any questions or if you want to add to the conversation, or this is what I would love, if you are in a B2B enterprise organization that is killing it, that is succeeding with content marketing, man, I would love to hear from you. We might even do a show about you. Imagine that. But if you want to add to this conversation, I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to tweet me at Rach Parker. Now it's time for our content marketing tip of the week. One of the many ways that B2B marketers can leverage content beautifully is in feeding their sales funnel. So most B2C marketing is pretty simple. You show me a Starbucks unicorn frappuccino. I think it looks good. I go buy one. Pretty simple. Conversely, most B2B deals involve a process. It's not one decision by one person taken in one moment. It's a process that in turn involves multiple individuals. And what content can do is help us address each of those audiences at each level of the decision-making funnel. So you've probably taken a look at your sales funnel and how people get to you and how they become clients. So think about those individuals at each level of your buyer's journey. What questions do they have? What do they find confusing? What information is missing that you can provide to help them take the next step in their decision-making process? And actually, the resource that I referred to you earlier, B2B Content Marketing from the blog to the bottom line, goes into great detail about how to use content at each level of this sales funnel. So feel free to pick it up at contentmarketinggift.com. But once you have really gone into that sales funnel and thought about the individuals at each level, you can create and offer useful, insightful content to help guide them every step of the way. And ideally, by the time they are through that decision-making process, then your name is the only one that they want to go with. Okay, campers, that's it for me today. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Content Marketing Podcast. If you like what you've heard today, please feel free to subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher or Google Play Music or via our RSS feed. And if you really like what you've heard, please leave us a quick review on iTunes. I would deeply, deeply appreciate it. Also, remember that my book, The Content Marketing Coach, Everything You Need to Get in the Game and Win, is available in book and Kindle format on Amazon. To learn more about the book and to download a free chapter, visit contentmarketingcoachbook.com. As you know, I always like to leave you with a quote, and today we have another gem from Steve Jobs. He once said, quote, "Be a yardstick of quality. Some people aren't used to an environment where excellence is expected," unquote. And if there's ever a place we need more quality, it is in the world of content. Again, this is Rachel Parker with Resonance Content Marketing. Thank you again for listening, and we will see you again next week. Take care.